FM 94, The Dark. It is that time again. It's time to get to know a band we play here on The Dark. And tonight, we're talking to the members of Ignite the Fire. And on the phone, I have Jack, the singer, Kalen, the drummer, and Holly, the bass player. And first of all three of you, how the hell you doing?
Hey, we're doing great.
I slept on my arm a little weird, but otherwise okay.
I'm doing great, yeah.
Okay, well, if that arm starts tingling, let us know, because we might have to get you to the hospital, I guess.
It's all another day of rock and roll.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to bring in right away Kalen here, the drummer, and let's talk about this band, Ignite the Fire. And I want to get the history of the band a little bit for our listeners here. That's the one thing I love doing here with the interviews, is learning the background of the band. How did this band all come about?
Well, several years ago. No, actually, the band started with me and my guitar player, Mark. We were in high school, and it was actually a pretty funny story because he played guitar, and I was just picking up the drums, and he came up to me and he was like, hey, you play drums? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, that's cool. And then the next day, he's like, so I got band name ideas. And I'm like, whoa, where did this come from? So it really snowballed from there, and we picked up Jack along the way, and we really finished out the lineup with our other guitarist, Mike, and then last but not least, Holly. So and that's how we really came to be. Been doing this for about 5 years now. Recently put out a brand new EP, Trial and Triumph. It's got our songs Over It and Breathe On It. We're just really excited to start releasing, this new music and getting it out to the public.
Well, it's great to hear, first of all, Kalen, that you had mentioned that it was a friend of yours in school and that you kind of met and you said, hey, let's make a band. Because nowadays I've been talking to people that are running bands, and they're finding everybody, on Craigslist or whatever the heck they're finding them on. And it's nice to see that old school band kind of, forming at school, getting together, because you're not seeing that as much anymore, are you guys?
No, not really. And fun fact, Kalen and Mark actually just graduated together. They went to the same college too. So
yeah, we stuck it out. We stuck out through school, and we're still together, and we've hated each other since.
I was just going to ask, is that why he's not on the interview today then, or what?
Yeah, we kept the secret, kept it on the down low, but no, he's actually taking a little mini vacation before we really start picking up the shows and everything like that. So
I got you.
Gave him a little bit of time off. So.
All right, so let's ask you this then, Kalen, and of course you and Mark kind of started the band. You got Jack on board then to be your singer. What kind of made you gravitate to him as being your singer?
Well, we were...
I'm putting you on the spot now.
I don't know why he's kept me around all this time.
No, we were looking for a singer, and we live in a very small town in Maryland.
Right.
And they're, in terms of singers, guitar players are a dime a dozen. I could throw a stick in any which direction and I'd hit a guitar player. But we really needed to find a vocalist. And I just remember Jack calling me up. We put out flyers, and Jack called me up, and he's like, I can sing. And we're like, okay, cool. And sure enough, he comes, and he's got perfect pitch and this amazing vocals. And we're like, this is it. We're set. We found our singer. The rest of the pieces are just going to fall into place.
Very cool. So let's ask you that question, Jack, then. So you get the call, you get found out they want you on there. Did you have to go through some kind of audition? What did you have to do, I guess, to get yourself involved in this band?
Okay, so I discovered the band from a flyer in a local music shop, and it had Kalen's number on it. I called him up. They were kind of desperate at the time, no offense. And but I went in, and back then they were really difficult. Not difficult. They were really stressing that the singer needed to be good. So I didn't just get like one interview process and then get hooked onto the band. No, they needed me to come back because they wanted to test my singing ability, my frontman ability, and my ability to work a crowd. Mm-hmm. So it took about 3 auditions, and then after I got home, after the 3rd practice, I get a message from Kalen that was like, hey, we love what you have to offer. Welcome to Ignite the Fire.
That's awesome. Just like that. And here you are. Now,
yeah, 5 years later.
5 years later it is. All right.
Since then, I've been trying to contribute as much as possible to the band. I do all the artwork now too, so they don't have to pay anyone for that.
That's a good thing. Okay, and so then you had to complete the band because I haven't seen many pictures, but I'm sure you guys aren't the most cute-looking guys. So you had to get a cute gal to join the band to be the looks of the band, right? Is that what happened here? Since you got Holly on board, or is it because she's actually an outstanding bassist player? What's the story behind Holly here?
Yes to both.
All right.
We were looking for a bass player, and we went through a long period where we were just using fill-ins, and she just, I think it was through our guitar player Mike, and he's like, hey, I know this awesome bass player, and sure enough she comes over and she's just a beast at the bass and completely incredible. And it was like, okay, this is it. You know, it was one of those things where it's like, does she want to be a part of the band?
Right.
We want her in the band, but does she want to be in the band? So.
Well, let's get her take on this whole thing. So how did you get involved?
Four smelly dudes who don't shower.
I had an older brother, so I grew up around guys, so it was just like something that came naturally to be like just hang out with guys. No, so back in December, Mike, our guitar player, we went to high school together. We were in classes together for 4 years, and he put up that Ignite the Fire was looking for a bass player. And I'd been in a band previously, and listening to these guys, I was like, this is definitely more my style, more my music. So decided to hit him up, and I was like, hey man, I would love to try out. He's like, great. Can you learn 2 songs in 2 days by ear? I know you can do it. I was like, okay. So I rushed home from work, and I was like, I gotta learn these songs really fast. And I show up for their practice Friday. We go over the 2 songs, and we talk. And I was like, thanks, would just love to be a part of this. And then I get the text from Mike, like I think it was 2 or 3 days later, and like, you're in. And I was like, woo! And I was like calling everyone. I was like, dude, I was like calling my brother. I was like, dude, I got in, that sort of stuff. But
we were excited to be in. And we were saying, yes, she wants to be a part of the band.
It's like asking
I was just kind of lost in it all. I was like, wait, what? We have a new member?
Okay, that's cool.
No, I'm just kidding.
It's like for you. It's like for you guys asking a girl to the prom, and she actually said yes.
I know. Right? Rejection for so long.
Hey, we're talking to the band Ignite the Fire. This is a band that's out of Maryland. Of course, the latest song we're playing on our airwaves is called Over It, which, by the way, was a winner of our Rock of the Dark New Music Poll about a month or so ago. And, of course, I know, which is awesome, by the way. So you got fans out there. That's cool. Let's get the history. Let's get the history of the name Ignite the Fire. Who wants to have this one? What's the story behind it? Why did you guys name the band that?
We have a multiple choice answer system, but I'm going to let Kalen go with it because he probably knows the right answer that's suitable for a radio interview.
All right, yeah.
No, it's so funny because we get asked this question a lot, and everyone thinks that the name is so profound. They're like, Ignite the Fire. It's like, oh, it has to do something, like spiritual or it's like uplifting. And
which it can.
And it absolutely can, and that's kind of developed into the story that we've told over the time of the band. It's like, it has a personal meaning, but in actuality, it really came down to Mark wrote about 5 or 6 names on a piece of paper. We Googled each name and found out that they were all taken except Ignite the Fire, so we went with Ignite the Fire.
That was solid. Well, I tell you what, a good friend of yours, which we've had on these airwaves a bunch of times, Speed, has, of course, a band called Silver Tongue, and I asked him that question, and he told me his answer. Well, we were looking at my uncle's pornos in the back here, and we found one that said Silver Tongue. That's how they came up with their name. So, it's maybe not the greatest of story, you guys, but hey, that's your story, right?
Well, the other answer we have is that because Kalen, our drummer, is a redhead, that we named it after the fire cross.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Hey, that's okay. We're okay with that.
If Speed gets his pornos, then we get
And you know Speed really well, and you guys are both from Maryland. Of course, those guys are Maryland rockers. You're Maryland rockers too. What do you know about Silver Tongue, and have you guys ever done any shows together?
Lots and lots and lots. They are one of the coolest bands that we've ever had the privilege to be a part of on their show list to open for too.
No, yeah, we've had a lot of fun playing with those guys. We did a show recently back in Baltimore with them, and I mean it was such a great lineup, a great night, and we really get along well with those guys. And it's always fun because if we pick up a show and find out they're on it, it's like, oh, cool, our friends are on this show. So it's always so much fun to play with those guys. And
awesome.
it's always a good time.
Very cool. We're talking with Ignite the Fire. We got Jack, Kaylin, and also Holly. Let's talk about your influences when it comes to music as growing up as a kid. I'll start with you, Holly, first of all. What kind of inspired you as a youngster growing up to get to where you are today?
I mean, I always grew up in a musical household. Like, my very first instrument I ever learned was the trumpet because my dad always played it around the house, and then my grandfather played drums, and my grandmother sang, and my dad also played flute and bass. So, like, music was already a part of my life even, before I could understand what was happening. But I grew up listening to, like, Queen and Rush through my father, and then, like, old school country from my mom, and then, like, the Beatles and, Rolling Stones from my grandmother. So I always had musical influences, but then, when middle school started rolling around, I started finding my own music to listen to, and my favorite band of all time is Muse. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen them 21 times. They're absolute heroes to me. Like, Chris Wolstenholme, the bass player, is a freaking beast, and everything I aspire to be musically is based off of them, really.
So have you ever met them in person?
Oh, no, I would be dead if that happened. Collapse and be like, is she okay?
Well, let me just say something quick about Holly, though. She can literally play any instrument that ever exists. I mean, I could probably hand her 2 spoons, and she would be able to play
I actually can play the spoon.
There we go.
Nice.
There.
Nice.
She can play the
I
spoon.
can play the spoon.
You can play this. You can go back on that Soundgarden track back in the day, right? They had the spoons
Yeah,
on
right,
there.
exactly.
There you go. Hey, you can do that. How about for you, Jack? Let's talk about you being a singer. Obviously, you got to be, when you're a front man, you got to be obviously out there, charismatic. You got to figure out how to get the crowd going in that. What kind of inspired you to become a lead singer of a band? What were your influences?
Well, when I was growing up, all throughout my life in public school, I was in choir classes, and that really broadened my perspective on my range, on my pitch, especially, and what I'm comfortable with and what I can do, what it feels like to push my voice comfortably, and what it feels like to push it in a way that'll damage it. So I had a really technical background when it came to singing, but actually, my first influence to sing was Villa Vallo from the band Him.
Yeah.
Which sad to hear that they're breaking up after 25 years, but
I know.
I'm hoping to see them. But anyway, so they were my first influence to sing because Vallo's voice is just absolutely sexy to me. And then I was like, whatever that is, I want to incorporate. So I tried really hard to hit the low notes as well as the high notes, and I would practice that every day to school. And it gave me this really low kind of open tone voice. And then later, the more I went on listening to music and trying to find things, I later found one of my favorite frontmen, who was Corey Taylor from Slipknot and Stone Sour. I just loved the way that he worked the crowd. And then I got more into to other bands, like I know they're an animated band, so they don't really count, but Gorillaz.
Oh, yeah.
Recently getting into them.
Yeah.
And I just love how they they add the don't care element, but yet they do care because they can be themselves when they don't. And then, of course, I got into Andrew WK, who is the most free singer, the most free spirit I've ever heard in my life. So it's honestly a mix of everything that just tries to break the mold and tries to get out there as much as it can.
That's awesome.
So when it comes to being a singer, I try to look for things that overall sound good. And I hate to say that in such a general way, but most people agree with that statement then, I think. So it's like, if it sounds good, do it. If it doesn't sound good, I hate to be so general, but it's the truth. But when it comes to being a front man, I try to look for things I try to be inspired by things that have intentions of breaking the mold, because that's what I really strive to do.
That's all.
Hopefully it didn't take up too much time.
Oh, no, that's great. Well, hey, you're the front guy. You always are talking, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Well, yeah, that's the point.
That's the guy. Okay, and of course we got to get Kalen's story, what his influences are, but I got to believe he probably pissed off his parents so much because he played the drums all the time, so that's probably part of it, right? Am I right on that? I mean, who doesn't?
Actually, no. You
No?
know what? I have probably some of the most supportive parents. I mean, we actually hold practices, at their house. So
Okay.
that's how supportive they are. Playing drums in the basement, they'd be like, you know what? It's keeping them out of trouble. Let them do it. So
Absolutely.
But no, for me, growing up, my dad was really into a lot of the music that I'm into today, and it's funny, but I consider myself a part of the Guitar Hero generation. Picking up that game Guitar Hero, I was like, wow, all this awesome music, and then eventually when they incorporated Rock Band with the drums, that's where I found my calling. And some of my biggest influences growing up were, of course, John Bonham with Led Zeppelin. I mean, if anyone's ever seen me drum, they can see how just wild and insane I get into it. And I take a lot of that from John Bonham. And, of course, John Fred Young of Black Stone Cherry. I mean,
Right.
He's just one of the phenomenal drummers I've ever seen. He's such an amazing guy, and definitely a person to take a lot of influence from.
Awesome. We're talking Ignite the Fire. We're talking to Jack, Kaylin, and Holly. Kind of leads into my next question. You kind of told me some of the bands that you maybe influence you'd like, so I'm going to turn over now to if you had to put together your 3-bill tour. So we're going to have Ignite the Fire, and then we're going to let's add 3 other bands to that. What would be your ultimate band billing that you would love to play with? Okay? So let's.
Is this like an individual?
We're gonna do it. Yeah, we're gonna do.
One of us has different answers.
Yeah, we're gonna do it one at a time. So we'll start with you, Jack, first this time. If you had to pick 3 bands that you would love to play with, they could be current bands or bands that are no longer in existence. Fire away.
It's going to be weird.
Oh, God.
Or do you want
3 bands? 3 bands to open for. They would have to be Andrew WK, him, and Slipknot.
I knew your answers were going to be probably that because you just let us know who your influences were. So that's awesome.
Well, okay. You know what? I'll tell you what. If it comes down to it, something that would fit our genre,
Yeah.
probably our guys in Silvertongue, Muse, because I'd love to see Holly's face, and and I guess Papa Roach, because those guys are freaking amazing when they get live.
There you go. I'm liking that. I'm liking that lineup. I just realized, too, that about 2.5 years ago, I had a chance to interview Valo, that is, by the way, from him. And it was just a great time to talk to him. But I can see, when I talk to him and talking to you, how I can see kind of some similarities in that. So it's really cool to know that.
I'm kind of fanboying right now that you're comparing me to one of my favorite singers ever.
I think. I know. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna have to go back. I got the interview here. I'm gonna have to go back with that though, and I'll check it. I'll even send it to you so you can hear it. So.
Oh, please do. Yes.
We'll do that for you. All right, let's continue on with this question about who you'd like to be having on tour with you. How about you, Holly? Who are your 3 bands?
Dude, I listen to so many bands. This is honestly hard for me, right? I would still say Muse, even though Jack already said them, because like I said, they're honestly heroes of mine.
Yep.
Dance Gavin Dance. I feel like we'd mesh
Okay.
really well. Plus, they're insane live, and this is a hard question for me. And I'd have to say Coheed and Cambria.
Okay.
Coheed and Cambria, freaking amazing live because I've seen them a couple of times live as well. And Coheed, Claudio is a freaking beast on guitar, and having Josh back on drums and Zach is a killer bass player, and Travis has such great melody lines with his guitar.
Right.
That would honestly be a dream tour for me.
Awesome. How about you? Or last but not least, Kaylin, what are you thinking? Who are you thinking you'd like to go on tour with?
Oh, this is easy for me. Shinedown,
Okay.
Breaking Benjamin, and Alter Bridge.
All right. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, right? Boom, boom, boom.
By Black Stone Cherry.
Yeah, right. And you know what? I'll quit music because I got to hang out with some of the coolest people.
Let's talk about that for a second. In the industry, is there any bands, any people really helping you out to get to that next level? I mean, I talk to a lot of bands like yourselves that are up and coming, new bands. Is there somebody that's helping you, influencing you, and guiding you in the right direction?
In terms of like established bands, I mean, we've had the opportunity to open up for a lot of bigger bands. We recently got to play a show with Never Say Die.
Yeah.
And they're just outstanding guys, outstanding musicians, and they had nothing but praise after our set. And they were just telling us like, this is what you got to do. If you want to if you want to succeed in this music industry. So a lot of that, picking up along the way. We had a show with Devour the Day, and again, great guys and great musicians, and they had a lot of the same advice for us. So, having a chance to play with these bands who do this on such a major scale for a living is really kind of given us a lot of insight into eventually when we hit that stage, because we're right on the cusp of it. So, eventually when we do hit it, we're going to be able to fall back on all this information that we've learned from these great bands that, we've come to make friends with.
Right. Very cool. Very cool. Hey, let's talk about the new EP, Trail and Triumph. And, of course, you mentioned Over It and Breathe. Are a couple of the singles that you've had out. As we're mentioning here, we're spinning Over It. Talk about the song. I don't know who wants to jump in on this, but kind of give us the history behind the song a little bit and why you guys wrote it and play and make it.
Over It, it was actually a guitar riff that I came up with. The main riff, it was something that I was fiddling with in the practice space, and I wanted to kind of, because I do also write the lyrics in the band too.
Yep.
Jack and I both write lyrics, and so I really wanted to capture this idea of kind of getting over personal demons, getting over vices like addiction. And I wanted it to be very inspirational, but I also wanted to have this heavy, hard-hitting melody and this very low tone to it, because, it's almost encompassing all those vices together. It's like the heaviness of the song, and then when that chorus kicks in, it's literally you getting over it. It's you getting over your vices, you rising above and, essentially triumphing over the trials that you face.
The best part about it is that it sounds like a struggle. Like, you hear that hard, fast riff. It sounds like someone is, like, writhing inside trying to get over this stuff. And then you have this glimmer of hope, which, for me, is the bridge. Because it's one of the most beautiful things we've ever written, I think, as a band, is the bridge to Over It. It's so melodic and so pretty. And to me, that's kind of like the light at the end of the tunnel that gives you that kind of hope.
Right.
So it's a really diverse song, and Kalen did an amazing job with writing the riff and writing the lyrics, so props to him.
And the cool thing about it, Jack, for you is that, obviously you didn't write it, you didn't have the lyrics of it and that, but you got behind it and you can feel it and you can breathe it in your voice, which is awesome. And that's cool. That's kudos to you.
Yeah, they've trained me well.
No, and let me say something about Jack, though. I mean, literally, him and I have come to a point where I'll be like, because I can't sing, and I'm like, here are the lyrics, here's what I have for a melody, and he picks it up just like that, and he just brings it to life and literally makes the song, whatever song we write, just literally makes the words soar, adds so much emotional element to it.
Right.
And we've really got a strong writing unit. So.
Hey, you guys doing much touring as of late? Have you done much, or you kind of yet? What's that, I guess, status like?
Define touring.
Touring.
No, we.
Are you trolling? Touring.
What was that?
Are you trolling? No, it's touring.
Trolling. There, yeah. Every day.
Exactly.
We've been doing a lot of just, we have a show, maybe like one or two shows every weekend.
Okay.
We're actually in the process of setting up our first small tour
Okay.
to really get into that. But, we got a bunch of shows coming up. We're going to be in Maryland, of course. We have a show in Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania. So we're really moving up and down the East Coast and really starting to look to make our way out into the Midwest and also the West, of course.
And let's talk about the songs in that, and I guess the band itself. What's the reaction, I guess, to rock radio when they've been hearing your songs? Are we getting spins on stations all over the U.S.?
Trying.
That was good. I like that. I got that. I like that.
That's the sound bit. Just trying.
That'll be your new song called "Trying."
Trying, yeah.
'Cause we're trying to make it.
Exactly.
And then, the follow-up was, we need more money.
Yeah.
No, but
It's broke.
yeah, broke. No, we've been pushing it out to a lot of radio. We've been
Right.
picked up by a lot of online radio and many different radio stations across the country, as well as we've even hit into the international market. And the response to it has been, because the first thing we put out was Over It, and the response to Over It has been incredible.
Right.
We were completely just blown away by how much the people love it, how much the fans are behind it. We've picked up so many fans because of this, because of that first single, and now with the EP coming out, the support just keeps rising up and up, and we've, been getting a lot more airplay, and things like what you do with the Dark on FM 94. I mean, that really helps us. Having that chance to have our music played on your station and stations very much like it. I mean, that's where we're seeing a lot of the reaction from fans, and we can't be more grateful, to you, of course, and of course everyone who plays our music.
Absolutely. Awesome. Shout out to that one radio station in Australia. Thanks a bunch.
Yeah. Woo.
Yay.
All righty.
All I know about it is that the initials are BRA, so I'm just going to call it BRA Radio.
Nice. Hey, last question. Well, I'm going to one more thing here, but let's get you and Holly again here. We haven't heard from you a little bit. What's it like hanging out with these guys? I guess you mentioned it's kind of like your brothers a little bit and that, but what's it like being a part of this band and, of course, being up there rocking out with them? Kind of what's the intensity? What's it like being at a show for Ignite the Fire?
No, it's great. Honestly, these guys are slowly becoming really, really great friends of mine, and it's definitely a support system outside of, we meet, for practices Tuesdays and Fridays, and we have shows on the weekends. It's more than that. We, hang out, we talk, and we're, become friends. And growing up, going to concerts, I've been going to concerts since I was 6 years old, and I had the giant headphones over my ears, so I couldn't really hear, but it was still
very cool.
A lot of fun.
Awesome.
Definitely one of my influences live is Jason Alon Butler of Let Live. I don't know if you've seen Let Live live. Unfortunately, they're coming to an end this year, but that man will just climb barricades and throw his microphone up into the rafters and hang upside down, scream and crashing in the drum set. This man is a freaking hurricane. I want to be like that. So these guys can attest to it. I'll run up and down the stage. I'll go on the drum boxes. I'll bend backwards, and rock out with my guitarist and we'll jump and sync and stuff. So whenever I play, I always try and give 110%, make sure that I'm giving an amazing performance to all the people who have come out to support us thus far. So.
She really makes it worthwhile to watch the bass player.
Nice. Well, you guys must have a real high insurance premium if you're doing all these things, because nobody's going to want to insure you.
Right, no, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you have many injuries on stage? I mean, we never talk about that much with bands, but, if you're high...
Talk about Mark's recent one?
Our guitar player fell into my drum set.
Really?
He's okay, but I was more worried about my drum kit at the time.
Don't pierce the skins! Don't!
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know how expensive the equipment is? I don't care about your health bill.
You just got a new bass drum head. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
We've been talking with Jack Kalen and Holly of the band Ignite the Fire, and I guess my last question is always for everybody out there listening, and this is the time for you. How do people get more information about your band? How do they find out about you?
Best place to find out information, we're putting up a brand new website. It's called IgniteTheFireMusic.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on all the social medias. Again, at Ignite the Fire Music. Our music is available on iTunes, Spotify, of course, on the radio. And that's the best way to get in touch with us is just typing in our name on Google and finding us. So,
or you could always listen to The Dark on FM 94.
That's right. You heard that. And now we need to just, here's what I think we should do. I think we should get Silver Tongue and Ignite the Fire and make a trip to Minnesota right here and play. What do you think?
Yeah. Yes.
Let's do it.
Yes.
I'm game. I'm sure those guys are game, so let's do it.
All right. Well, you heard that, Central Minnesota. We're going to make that happen, okay? We're going to do that. We'll make that happen. Maybe this summer, maybe this fall. We'll figure it out, okay? Hey, guys, thanks so much.
Silver Tongue.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks so much for joining once again, Jack, Kalen, and Holly. We're going to play your latest song right now that we have on our airwaves called Over It. Once again, thanks so much for joining me.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you so much, Jay-Z.
Once again, that is Ignite the Fire. Their latest song is Over It. You're hearing it right now. It's on The Dark. It's on FM 94.